was a warm night in September. It was a Tuesday, so I went to bed early as I had school the next morning. My bedtime routine was as usual. I brushed my teeth, changed, said goodnight to everyone, then I hit the sack. I fell asleep pretty good that night as I was tired from work and school that day. However, I was woken up by something at around 1 a.m. I groggily opened my eyes to see what it was. I couldn't yet see anything as it was pitch black, but then I realized that it wasn't what I was seeing, but something that I was hearing that had woken me up. I intently listened and was soon jump scared by the intense sound of an object hitting my window. It wasn't anything small either, rather a big thump, except really more like the pungent, the pudgy sound, if you know what I mean. The fuck could this be? I said to myself, now fully awake. I gazed outside my window and shined my light down in the backyard. Standing in my backyard, below my window, was a chubby, hooded figure. I couldn't see who they were yet, though. "Hey, who the fuck are you? What are you doing here? I'm gonna call the cops," I said. The figure stood there, doing nothing, but then it spoke.
"Come on down here, Nick. I have an offering for you, sir,"
It said in a low, almost like a monotone, almost robotic kind of voice. "What? Are you crazy? Why would I come down to meet you?" "I don't even know you," I told it.
"Trust me, Nick. This is very important. Come down here now. This will benefit you greatly,"
It said. This could not be real. I had to be dreaming, I thought to myself. Just the pure fact that some rando was outside my window at 1 a.m. trying to get me to come outside was bizarre in all aspects. "Okay, fine, I'll come down," I told it. "Only if you promise to leave me alone. Deal?"
"Deal,"
the figure said as I snuck downstairs and slid my shoes on. I went to meet the figure in the backyard, flashlight in hand. However, once I reached the area where the figure was standing, it seemed something was more off about it. "Hello? Oh, what's the deal? Make it quick," I sternly said.
"Yes, Nick. I'm glad you've come down to meet me. This deal will be very magnificent indeed. But bear with me. First, I need you to follow me."
"Follow you? Come on. I thought you said you'd make this quick," I said.
"Trust me, Nick. You're gonna want to see this deal."
"Can you just tell me the deal as I follow you?" I said.
"No, Nick. You must come to my headquarters first."
"Your headquarters," I said, getting extremely sketched out now. Not to mention, I was already very sketched out from the start.
"Yes, Nick. My headquarters. It's just down the hill."
And by the way, just down the hill meant all the way down on the main road towards Banderville Creek in the woods. I could not believe it, but I actually followed him.
"Okay, Nick. You're almost at my headquarters. Keep following me."
The figure then proceeded to wade into Banderville Creek in the pitch black. What? Bro, I am not getting wet," I told him. "It's 2 a.m, and besides, you've been walking for over a mile now. Where are your fucking headquarters at?"
"Trust me, Nick. These headquarters will be all worth it, as this deal will benefit you greatly."
"Will you shut the fuck up about your deal? I'm this close to calling the cops and beating the shit out of you," I tell it.
"Come on, Nick. Just across the creek."
And so I reluctantly hop in the water and swim across the creek. I looked at the mysterious figure in the black hoodie. Rather than swim, they mysteriously bobbed across the creek as if they floated by some means. It was weird, but I didn't really question it. Huge mistake. And so we get across the creek. The figure led me to a storm drain. "Bro, I am not going in a storm drain," I told it. "You know how big those spiders are?"
Come on, Nick. Spiders are only part of the deal."
"What do you mean the spiders are part of the deal? Okay, now I really don't want to do this," I said.
"Trust me, Nick. It'll all work out in the end."
I was a person who did like that kind of ideology, so I followed him in there, with the hopes that it would, quote-unquote, work out in the end. Though my guard is up extremely high, through the roof. So we head inside the storm drain, and deep inside, very claustrophobic, I had to army crawl as I couldn't even crouch. We went in the storm drain for another half mile before we finally entered a sort of cave where I could stand up again.
Just right down this way, Nick. We're almost at my headquarters,
the figure told me. I kept following it, and finally, we made it to his headquarters, quote-unquote. His headquarters involved a mysterious clearing in the middle of some random patch of woods that the storm drain emptied out into. It involved scraggly trees and a very muddy basin. It was made out of cardboard, like a little structure that was made from cardboard and had a doorway that led into it. It was like a hut, and the hut was in the shape of a rectangle. It had an old table in the middle, presumably fetched out of a dumpster, along with a bunch of old lawn chairs, very dirty. It smelled like old socks, cheese, and literal shit. Why does it smell so bad in here? I asked.
Trust me, Nick. It's the scent of progress and achievement,
the figure says. Fuck you, I told it. That shit's nasty. I reluctantly sat at one of the chairs. I looked beside me and shined my light on the ground and almost jumped out of my seat out of fright. Sitting beside me in the other chairs were mannequins. Why are there mannequins here? I demanded.
Believe me, Nick, these are your comrades.
Comrades? Oh, no. Okay, what is this deal?
Okay, Nick, but first, do you know who I am?
No, I don't know who you are. I can't believe I haven't even asked you yet. Who are you? The figure then sat down at the end of the long table across from me and took off its hood. It was no one other than Herbert Ernie himself. Herbert! I should have known.
Oh, yes, Nick. You were looking at me. It is me.
Herbert looked absolutely ridiculous. He had a giant afro, like huge, with spiders and cockroaches scurrying around inside of it. He had grease all over his face, warts covering his triple chin, and slime that oozed from his mouth. His teeth were rotten and yellow. A look of crazy sat in his chubby eye sockets.
Yeah, Nick.
The reason his voice sounded so distorted and weird is because I looked on the collar and I noticed a voice mimicker. It must have, translated his voice into, some weird, more shrill tone because it sounded extremely annoying and weird.
Alright, Nick, time to tell you my deal.
Tell me the deal, Herbert. Now I'm actually calling the cops, but I'll still hear your deal. Herbert then got to speaking. His deal involved... Okay, he said a lot of words, so I'm going to summarize it and keep it nice and simple. Here's how it went. First, according to him, I would agree to give Herbert the locations of my friends, Colin, Steve, Frank, and Chad. Next, I would go and get them to hang out, and I'd bring them to Herbert's headquarters, where he'd be brewing up a special potion to help transform each and every one of us into his minions, whatever that's supposed to mean. And I probably didn't want to find out. And beside me, of course, since I was helping him, I would be his little henchman.
Trust me, Nick. If you help me with this, I will reward you,
he tauntingly said. Reward me? Herbert, what the fuck? You're so weird, I told him. Herbert then proceeded to explain that he was in the process of brewing up a special Kearney Ernie potion. He then referred to a little table that sat beside him. And sure enough, there was a cauldron. There was a little stove going which had some sort of weird concoction brewing. Herbert, what's in that?
This, Nick, has to be a secret, but it will be revealed once my minions are fully complete,
he told me. No, Herbert, I am not taking part in your scheme. I'm leaving right now, and I'm going back to sleep, I told him. I left the hut and tried to leave. However, as soon as I realized that the only way back was through the storm drain, a pit formed in my stomach. And so I got going. And not to mention, there were a bunch of cliffs and shit surrounding the patch of wood that Herbert's headquarters were in, low-key trapping me. Oh, fuck. Gotta do what you gotta do, I remembered. And so I got back on my hands and knees reluctantly and started crawling through the storm drain again. However, Herbert was right on my ass.
Get back here, Nick. I'm gonna get you through to agree to help me from my minions.
Herbert then shot a toilet plunger at me, landing on my foot. Surprisingly, I couldn't even get away. Herbert started reeling me in via the plunger, like a fish. Oh, Herbert, stop! No. Herbert dragged me all the way out of that storm drain back into his hut. He then proceeded to sit me down in a different chair. Once I tried to get up again, I couldn't. I was stuck. I was stuck on the chair with expired nacho cheese. Oh shit, Herbert, what have you done now? You just ruined my favorite pair of PJ pants, I told him.
I'm not letting you go until you help me to form my minions.
Oh, okay, Herbert, fine. I'll help you form your minions, but you have to agree to let me go so I can go back to sleep, I told him.
Sounds like a deal.
And it was set. I gave Herbert the locations of Colin, Steve, Frank, and Chad. However, I wasn't a snitch. I did not give him the real locations, rather fake ones. I did not want to betray my friends like that. Anyway, the date was now September 25th. So, I organized a location to hang out with my friends, meeting at the local grocery store parking lot. Or at least that's what Herbert wanted me to do, but obviously I was not going to do that. Herbert, we can't do that, I told him. I have work that day.
Oh, even better, Nick. Meet me up there at 9 a.m.
Herbert said. By the way, I worked at the local grocery store, so I guess that's where Herbert wanted me to meet. Fine, Herbert, we can meet up there at 9 a.m. in the parking lot. So Herbert then let me go. I speed crawled back through the pipe, ran through the woods, crossed along the creek, ran some more, and soon, around 4 a.m., I finally made it back to my house. My parents woke up, wondering where the world I had been. Just went on a little morning run, I said. Me being covered in nacho cheese and mud, soaking wet, and smelling like shit, really made them question my statement. But I guess they were tired and decided not to take it any further. And so I spent the entire day at school thinking about what my next course of action should be. I didn't actually want to help Herbert, but at the same time, I didn't want him to actually come back and kidnap me in the middle of the night and to force me back to his lair. Ugh. Anyway, I just do what Herbert says. At lunch, I sat down with my friends, Colin, Steve, Frank, and Chad, and told them the plan. Hey, you guys all down to hang out on Saturday the 25th? I asked.
Yeah, dude. I know your boy's always down,
said Steve. Yeah, I should be able to, said Colin.
Sure, bro. What time are you planning on meeting?
9 a.m.
Well, I should be able to do that, but the catch is, I'm going to have my protein shake first. The game and football season's right around the corner.
Yeah, you can do that, said Colin. Okay, so where are we meeting? Colin asked. The local grocery store parking lot at 9 a.m. I spoke with hesitation, and, you could probably understand why, because, Herbert and everything. I got home from school that day and did my homework, everything I needed to do. I then looked at my calendar and was hit with a daunting realization. Saturday the 25th was literally that weekend. Oh shit, I thought to myself. I had to come up with a plan to deter Herbert, as everyone had already planned to show up, and I'm assuming Herbert would be there too, and then everyone would become his minions. This is a disaster. Fuck, I thought to myself. Anyway, the rest of the week went by as usual, until Friday night, the end of the night, or the eve of when Herbert's minion army would become a reality. A very dreadful night indeed that was. I sat in my room alone, contemplating on what I should do next. I couldn't help but think that this is all my fault. If only I wasn't so eager to get back to my house and go to sleep. Better yet, if I wasn't so eager to find out what Herbert's deal was in the first place. I should have just called the cops on him. I should have never agreed to have given Herbert the locations of all my friends, let alone to agree to go to the parking lot with them. And so I sat there kind of ashamed, but luckily, I did come up with a plan. I would go there, go to work, ask to go get the shopping carts and bring them in at work, from the parking lot since, that was where we're going to meet and all. But after I went out to the parking lot, and once I met my friends, I would hide them. Then I'd get them all away from where Herbert was going to meet. And then when Herbert arrives, I'd tell them that, unfortunately, all my friends were sick and that they couldn't arrive. Herbert would then go home, and everything would work out perfectly. I sat there quite proud of myself for having come up with that brilliant plan. Little did I know, however, is that Herbert Ernie is quite the stubborn creature. He does not like taking no for an answer. So, when Saturday morning rolled around, I got up and got ready for work. I was getting ready to open that day, and I had to be at work at 7. I clocked in and began my shift. Everything went normal and as planned. Around 8:30, I was asked if I could go out and get carts. I agreed. I went outside and began doing just that. Colin, Steve, and Frank arrived 10 minutes later as I was doing my work. Yo, where's Chad? I asked. I don't know, let's call him, Colin replied. We did just that. We gave Chad a call, and he picks up sounding kind of groggy.
What morning plans?
Chad asked. Yeah, we're supposed to meet at the grocery store. Where the fuck are you? Colin asked.
You see, Bert, I was at the Bro game last night. Got me pretty worn out.
So, Chad, it's not even that early, and the game ended at 8 last night. It was a short one. Wilkdale got crushed 20-1, I told him.
You see, Bert, lessons learned from everything. Gotta keep them recovery gains at top priority.
Okay, forget about it. Chad, you wouldn't want to be here anyway, I told him. Wait, why is that? Colin asks. Probably because it's the grocery store parking lot. Why do I want to, not that interesting, I said, freaking out low-key, trying to hide the real reason from Herbert coming and everything.
Yeah, man, why the fuck we at the grocery store parking lot of all places, G?
Yeah, Steve was right, but I had made a promise to Herbert, and I couldn't let anyone know. 5 minutes later, and Herbert's blue minivan was in the process of pulling into the parking lot. Quick, hurry, Herbert's here, I said to everybody. They all get the picture and hid underneath of some cars. Herbert then pulled up next to me and rolled down the window.
So, Nick, where are my future minions at?
He inquired. Yeah, about that, Herbert. Apparently they all got sick and caught like the stomach bug or something, so unfortunately they will not be able to make it today.
I don't like that, Nick.
What do you mean, Herbert? You're making no sense. Not my fault they couldn't come.
Well then, seems like it's time for Plan B.
Plan B? Herbert, what do you mean, Plan B? Herbert then took out some sort of device from his glove box in his car, in his minivan. I didn't think anything of it at first, but then I saw him press a button, and a strange and very loud and obnoxious beeping sound began coming from the locations of Colin, Steve, and Frank, aka, from under the cars where they were at. Beep, 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 beep. Herbert then got out of the minivan, leaving the engine still running before peeping down and looking under some cars.
Found you, boys,
he said. Little did I know that when Herbert was done, I'd given the locations of Colin, Steve, and Frank. Herbert went and installed trackers in their sleep. I don't know if he went to their houses, then why didn't he just kidnap them at that moment, but Herbert never makes any sense. And yeah, also the thought of Herbert breaking into their houses as they were asleep greatly disturbed me. Anyway, they all got out from under the cars and confronted Herbert. Herbert, what the fuck are you doing here? Colin demanded.
I need you boys to be my minions.
Your what? Your minions? Oh, Herbert, no. Are you crazy? Colin said. I am not helping you with any of your schemes, ever. I don't blame Colin for saying that, because Herbert's schemes are always ridiculous and dirty and bound to get you into trouble.
I need you boys to drink my potion.
And what makes you think I'm drinking that? Colin said.
This does.
Herbert then reached into the trunk of his minivan and pulled out some sort of elixir squirting backpack. He put it on and began firing the potion at people. The potion was like some milky purple liquid, and it fired at a very alarming rate, hitting people in their faces. shouted Colin as he got squirted right in the face with Herbert's potion, his brew.
Oh shit, mate, that's sticky as a bitch,
said Steve. Man, I can't even move my arms now, said Colin.
Potion,
said Frank. Of course, Frank of all people would be the one to like this. The potion was so sticky that once it stuck on you, you couldn't even move. I guess it had that weird nacho cheese in it from Tuesday night. Herbert was then able to use his big, chubby body weight to wrestle Steve, Frank, and Colin all into the blue minivan. He wrestled me in there too, scorching me in with squirting me with the same little elixir. Herbert, I thought we had a deal. I thought I'd be rewarded, I told him.
You will be rewarded, Nick. You will. But first, you must witness the creation of my minions,
Herbert said. Herbert then drove until he parked at the other neighborhood near the woods where his headquarters were at. He got out and led everyone into the woods. Soon we arrived at a very familiar sight, his headquarters. It was way more weird seeing it in the daylight. Okay, seriously, Herbert, I gotta get back to work now. I don't got time for this, I told him.
Don't worry now, Nick. You'll be back in a jiffy. This shouldn't take long,
Herbert says. Oh, Herbert, what are you gonna do with that cheese? I demanded.
It'll be for my minions.
Herbert sat everyone down on a chair, which was located in the middle of his hut, and it was coated in that melted nacho cheese I mentioned. Next, everyone's butts get stuck to it.
Now, everybody, as my minions, there will be some grand rules. And for that, you are under the oath of the minion submission,
he exclaimed. Herbert then pulled up a whiteboard and explained the rules.
There are 5 grand rules for being an any minion. Number 1, you must obey my command at all times. Number 2, you must remember it. You are required to have me be your wingman. For together, we will get all the ladies. Number 3, we must always remember this one. A steady supply of cheesy snacks will be with us at all times. For if you get your snacks, you have to get anywhere. Number 4, you must make sure you give me a pedicure and get me a foot massage daily. At least, last but not least, rule number 5, you must give up your house and forever live with me and stay with me at the any headquarters.
Herbert, you're fucking crazy. I'm not doing any of this, said Colin. I didn't blame him, as the fact that Herbert wanted us to leave our families and forever live at the Ernie HQ was insane. Herbert, you're fucking delusional. No one's doing this. Your plan's gonna fail, and so will you, I told him. Though, we still had to go through this little transformation into his Ernie minions, whatever that was. Herbert, you agreed that you'd reward me also, I told him.
Be patient, Nick. First, my minions must come into action.
Herbert then went over to Frank first and gave Frank a weird-looking orb of cheese, or at least what I thought to be cheese. Frank, being Frank, opened his mouth and delightfully ate it.
Yummy!
He exclaimed.
Oh, fucking fam!
Steve remarked. The cheese ball had some sort of weird, fuzzy fur on it too, indicating mold, but Frank ate that shit like it was popcorn. It took him a while to chew, but once he ate it and swallowed, it started to undergo some sort of weird alien transformation. Frank, you made a big mistake there, I told him, but Frank didn't listen. It was too late. Frank's head then doubled in height, not his body, only his head, and he had some weird sort of long, elongated, alien-looking head now. His eyes tripled in size, again like an alien, and he had gained a ton of weight. Now Frank was already pretty chubby, but now he was Herbert's size. Frank squealed. His voice is now slowly starting to become more and more like Herbert's, so more like He then grew 3-inch long toenails, like Herbert, and his hands became extremely chubby.
Now it's time for Stevie.
Oh, fucking fam, I ain't doing your bullshit no more, gang,
said Steve, but it was too late. Steve, too, was forced to eat the cheese blob, and soon he, too, became an Ernie Minion lookalike. Next, it was time for Colin. Herbert, no, seriously, we don't want to do this, we really don't want to do this. But it was too late. Colin was soon forced to eat the cheese, the furry cheese. Next thing we knew, he, too, was also an Ernie Minion, of no one other than Herbert Ernie himself.
Now my minion army is complete.
Okay, fine, Herbert. Where's my reward? I demanded.
Here we are right now. You're about to walk in the first tester of the Ernie Gauntlet.
Herbert exclaims. The Ernie Gauntlet? Wait, no. But it's too late. Herbert's minions, or my former friends, seized me. They weren't strong because Herbert's not strong, meaning I was able to break free easily. However, their chubby bellies kept me pinned against the wall of the Ernie Herbert headquarters. Herbert, let me go! You agreed to help me!
Don't worry, Nick. The Ernie Gauntlet will only make you stronger and more loyal to the Ernie regime,
Herbert said. I was taken over farther into the woods until I reached a little hallway with 2 walls and a ceiling. It was about 10 feet long and had an opening on either side where I would enter and exit. So do I just have to, walk through this or something?
Yep. Step around inside,
said Herbert. I did just that. However, as I stepped in the gauntlet, one of Herbert's minions blocked me. Or they blocked the exit, that was, meaning I had to go through. I was at the point now where I could still tell who the minions were. The one that was blocking the exit was Steve. I tried to convene with him. Yo, Steve, it's me. Don't you remember? Was the only expression I could make out. I could tell it was Steve. I looked into its pupils and saw the soul of Steve still in it. I looked at him and said, or I looked in at the Steve inside the pupils. Saw a faint Steve inside, begging for help.
Yo, man, help me, G, I don't like this shit.
It was like that one SpongeBob episode where, Squidward himself got trapped inside of SpongeBob. And he was inside of SpongeBob laughing and having a good time. Squidward was begging for help inside of SpongeBob's eyes. I saw Steve, but on the outside, nothing but Herbert looked like. The hair and everything. Whether its eyes were non-human, though, they were like an alien. It exclaimed. Okay, fine, Herbert, I'll walk through your fucking gauntlet, I said. I did just that. However, no one other than the real Herbert Ernie himself blocks the other exit. With his chubby belly, of course. What, Herbert, how am I supposed to walk through this gauntlet with you blocking the exit? I told him.
You said you can do it,
he replies. Confused, I take a moment to process what he meant. And when I turn around and look back at Herbert, his pants are pulled down with his bare butt facing me. Oh, fuck nah! As Herbert Ernie had just let one rip, it busted through the walls. I busted through the walls. Trust me, they were not hard to bust down at all, as they were made of cardboard. I ran home and sprinted all through the woods. I emerged in some random country road, which I found to be none other than Crickenberger Pike. I ran along that road until I finally made it back to where I knew I was. I locked all the windows once I got home, took a shower, and just huddled in my room, traumatized. I didn't sleep a wink that night, and I'd have nightmares for months about my now long gone, lost friends, and Herbert's little minion army. Ugh.